In a world that often moves too fast and easily forgets the very icons who gave it spiritual depth and meaning, tonight we pause that rush. We stop, deliberately and reverently, to honor a hero who never once forgot us, Bill Gaither. His voice, his immense heart, and his enduring legacy didn't just shape music. They forged an entire culture of faith. They molded countless souls. So when Bill Gaither made the abrupt and agonizing choice to vanish from the stage, it became immediately clear that this was far more than a famous musician simply saying goodbye. It was the unmistakable sound of a curtain tearing. It symbolized the sudden, quiet end of an era that had defined gospel history for decades. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful or gentle. It was a deep, aching void that left an entire community reeling, shaken, and suddenly adrift without its anchor. For decades, Bill had been the unshakable compass, the steady, soothing voice that guided millions through their highest celebrations and their darkest sorrow. He wasn't just a singer. He was the living bridge that connected generations, flawlessly weaving faith and melody, happiness and grief, hope and reality, through every lyric and every night of tireless ministry. His sudden departure didn't merely disappoint fans. It shattered a community that had unconsciously grown dependent on his rock-solid presence. No one had ever imagined a day where he wouldn't be standing at the very center of it all. And yet, even after the spotlight dimmed and the stage went quiet, the melody refused to die. Every soaring note, every fragile spirit he touched, and every flicker of hope he ignited still carries his raw, essential essence. Because of the sheer scope of that impact, we are compelled to say it loudly, "Thank you, Bill." When the official announcement of his retreat finally arrived, it shocked everyone with its brevity. A short, almost insultingly simple statement confirmed the crippling fear people had quietly harbored but desperately tried to deny. Bill Gaither was leaving. He didn't fade out slowly. He slipped away from the glare without a trumpet fanfare, without a dramatic farewell tour, without pages of explanation. No theatrics, no spotlight, no grand exit. Yet the magnitude of this quiet decision was thunderous. His absence immediately became a heavy weight, felt by lifelong friends who cherished him, by the millions of fans who leaned on every word he sang, and by fellow artists who had long viewed him as their unblinking guiding star. In a world where noise often suffocates sincerity, his silence spoke louder than any stadium performance. It forced everyone to confront just how significant his presence had truly been, not merely as an entertainer, but as a towering pillar of stability, unwavering strength, and enduring hope. The wave of reaction that followed was raw, tear-soaked, and profoundly human. Artists who had stood shoulder to shoulder with him on the grandest stages choked back sobs as they remembered the wisdom he shared, not through slick sermons, but through the hard-won integrity of his life, his choices, and his unwavering humility. Gospel legends like Vestal Goodman and George Young, foundational figures Bill had celebrated and supported, suddenly stood as reminders of the long line of heroes he now seemed to join in a quieter kind of retirement. Their absence had already been deeply felt, but Bill's withdrawal was seismic, shaking the very foundations of the genre he helped define. The community wasn't simply losing a performer. They were losing the central figure who had hosted the family reunion for decades. The Gaither homecoming videos, those heartfelt, spontaneous gatherings of legends, newcomers, and friends, weren't just commercial successes. They were living proof of the unity Bill fostered. Now, those videos carry a new, bittersweet meaning. They stand as a visual archive of a time when the patriarch was still present, still orchestrating the beautiful, joyous chaos of collaboration and faith. Fans poured out their most intimate personal stories, recalling the exact moments when a Bill Gaither song, perhaps because he lives or he touched me, became their source of comfort in heartbreak or their beacon of courage in pitch-black valleys. They remembered the warmth of the homecoming videos, the unscripted moments of fellowship, the laughter, the harmonies, the testimonies that transcended mere performance. For many, a Gaither concert had never been just an evening out. It was a spiritual refueling station, a place where their faith was renewed and their burdens lifted by the power of collective song. They saw Bill not as a distant celebrity, but as a trusted friend, a kindly uncle who always knew exactly which song the heart needed. From every story shared, one truth stood out with crystal clarity. Bill Gaither created far more than music. He gifted people with healing moments, soul-deep memories, and spiritual bonds so profound they will outlast the songs themselves. The Gaither vocal band, the countless artists he mentored, and even the structure of Southern gospel music itself all bear his unmistakable imprint. He built an empire of ministry not for personal gain, but for the selfless purpose of uniting believers, and even unbelievers, under the banner of hope. His knack for identifying and uplifting talent was uncanny. He elevated artists like Mark Lowry, David Phelps, and so many others to global recognition. His vision always extended far beyond performance. It was about stewardship, about ensuring gospel music's heritage would continue through fresh, powerful voices. And it's this constant, quiet giving of himself and his platform that made his stepping down feel like such a deep wound. As the world scrambled for answers behind his sudden exit, a deeper and more uncomfortable truth surfaced. Maybe answers didn't matter. Maybe Bill's decision was a quiet, necessary plea, guided by physical health concerns, unspoken family needs, or a soul-weary longing for rest after decades of selfless service. Perhaps it was a combination of all these pressures. The grueling tours, endless recording sessions, constant meet and greets, and a life lived entirely in service to others had to take their toll eventually. His body may have finally issued the non-negotiable command to stop. There were no confirmed reports of a specific illness, but anyone who understood the weight of his calling knew that 50 years of ministry exhaustion was explanation enough. They remembered the thousands of miles traveled, the nights spent away from Gloria and their children, the sacrifices made in silence, all for the sake of the message. This hadn't been a pampered celebrity life. It had been a calling that demanded personal sacrifice. The brief retirement statement felt like a deliberate act of privacy, a final boundary placed around a life that had been publicly offered to millions. It was his gentle way of saying, "The work was for you, but the ending belongs to me and my family." Whatever the actual reason, the lesson was powerful. Even the strongest, most spiritually inspiring figures must eventually step back when life demands change. That truth hit the community like a wave. It reminded everyone that even a man with Bill Gaither's immense spiritual stamina was human, finite, and subject to the same limits as all of us. And looking back over his monumental career, awe is unavoidable. From humble beginnings as a high school English teacher in Indiana, he rose to become a globally recognized icon of gospel music. Yet he wore that immense success with humility, with gentleness, with grace. The spotlight and the accolades were never his end goal. His mission was always deeper, to elevate spirits, nurture faith, and unite people through melody. He achieved that and far more. With over 700 songs to his name, he became one of the most prolific and impactful songwriters in Christian music history. His partnership with Gloria became legendary, producing timeless compositions that will be sung for generations, a musical foundation that continues to define the genre. A spiritual and creative union like theirs, one that produced hymns transcending denominations, became something far greater than anyone expected. Their songs felt equally at home in small, humble country churches as they did in massive, echoing city cathedrals. Over the years, the sheer longevity and unmatched quality of their work established a creative benchmark that few other artists in the gospel world have ever even approached. His music wove itself inextricably into the very fabric of countless lives, becoming the essential soundtrack for every Sunday service, every wedding celebration, every funeral goodbye, and every quiet, deeply personal prayer whispered in private moments. His songs accompanied people through every brutal stage of life. Truly, there is hardly a significant life event in the Christian world that hasn't been scored by a Gaither melody. This depth of integration, this way the music became part of both personal and communal rituals of faith, is exactly what made the news of his retirement feel like a profound break in the familiar rhythm of life. It created a sudden, aching pause that left many asking the same haunting question. What now? Who would write the next generation's anthems of endurance? Who would be the steady, smiling hand guiding the collective spiritual journey forward? Yet beneath that strong, unwavering public image lived a man privately carrying his own burdens, facing his own profound weariness, and bearing the heavy, unrelenting responsibility of being a perpetual source of encouragement for millions. The expectations placed upon a man constantly seen as a pillar of spiritual strength must have been immense. The pressure to always be on, always be smiling, always have the right hopeful answer, surely weighed heavily on his heart and soul. He was the perpetual host, the constant curator of an emotionally demanding ministry that rarely allowed him the simple, human luxury of being just Bill. So in this new, crucial light, his decision to finally step away was not a betrayal of weakness. It was an act of profound, soaring strength. After all, it requires immense, terrifying courage to finally know when to say goodbye, especially when the entire world is simply not ready to let you go. His departure became his final powerful testimony, a testament to the essential need for rest and surrender, even for the most faithful among us. It was an act of self-care disguised as retirement, a final lesson in recognizing one's own human limits. The days that followed the announcement were filled with a melancholic mixture of sorrow, reflection, and celebration. Tributes poured in from every corner of the music industry, not just from Christian artists, but from mainstream legends who respected the Gaither legacy, his artistic integrity, and his enduring success. Broadcasts across the country played marathon sessions of his music, turning quiet evenings into unexpected community vigils. The internet quickly flooded with personal anecdotes, each one affirming the deep, quiet ways Bill had impacted individual lives, often without ever realizing it. Amid all these stories, one common theme emerged: his consistent encouragement of young talent, his willingness to share the stage, and his genuine, unassuming kindness off camera. After his private decision became public, a short but incredibly moving farewell message followed. In it, Bill reminded absolutely everyone what gospel music truly stands for. It was never, ever about one man alone. It was always a collective voice, a choir of hope, a shared testimony of faith. He emphasized that the music, the divine message, and the unshakable faith would continue to flow like an unstoppable river through anyone willing to pick up the melody and heroically carry it forward. He was not asking for mourning, he was demanding action. He was passing the mantle, not laying it down for good. His final words were far more than a simple farewell. They were a blessing, a symbolic passing of the torch, and a fiery encouragement for the entire community to keep believing, keep hoping, and above all else, keep loving. This was ultimate Gaither wisdom, the importance of community, of unity, and the continuity of the sacred message. Today, the gospel music world feels undeniably different. Without Bill Gaither physically at the forefront, there is a gaping emotional space. Yet the world is not diminished. Instead, it continues to thrive, nourished by the seeds of greatness he planted over decades. His colossal influence echoes in the passionate voices of young musicians just now finding their footing, in the timeless soaring hymns that continue to inspire deeply, and in the countless lives he irrevocably touched with his unwavering message of truth and beauty. The Gaither Music Company continues releasing new material, videos, and concert specials, ensuring the legacy he built is preserved and expanded by the next generation he painstakingly cultivated. The homecoming brand, now steered by others, remains a vibrant force, a direct testament to the solid foundation Bill laid. A foundation built not just on profits or performers, but on people and genuine connection. While his sudden departure brought immediate sadness, it also sparked a deep and abiding sense of gratitude. For even a brief, shining time, the world was blessed with someone as rare, as powerful, and as spiritually grounding as Bill Gaither. His life proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that true greatness is not about being the most unique or the loudest presence. It is about leaving behind an impact so strong it can never be erased. Bill's music, his vibrant energy, and his teachings live on not only in recordings, but in the cherished hearts of those who found solace in his familiar voice. His legacy endures because of the many voices he personally inspired, the countless lives he uplifted, and the defiant hope he spread with every single note. Ultimately, this is more than a story of loss or public shock. It is a blazing testament to a life lived with unwavering integrity, selfless generosity, and unshakable faith. True legends are those who deliberately leave the world better than they found it, not by seeking recognition, but by offering their love, kindness, and tireless inspiration in everything they touch. Even after quietly leaving the stage, Bill Gaither's story continues to echo. Every joyful, hopeful note, every life touched by the faith he championed, every heart lifted with courage, these are the real carriers of his legacy. That is why he will never truly be gone. For decades, he was the steady, calm anchor at the very heart of the gospel community. A man who brought fractured people together through the sheer, irresistible force of faith and song. His music was not merely art, it was healing, profound hope, and instant unity. Year after year, no matter how many bold new voices emerged, Bill remained the comforting center, the smiling familiar presence who seemed almost unstoppable. His legendary energy filled packed churches, massive festivals, and small community gatherings alike, creating an unshakable sense of reassurance that he would always be there. And then, like a sudden unexpected storm breaking through a perfectly clear day, came the searing revelation. Bill Gaither's official team issued a statement both succinct and devastatingly powerful, announcing flatly that he would no longer continue with public appearances, concerts, or any events. No further details were offered, and in that moment, none were needed. The message alone was enough to instantly change everything. Although there were so few words in the official announcement, Those few carried a monumental weight far heavier than most could have imagined. Fans stared at their glowing screens, rereading the message again and again, praying they had somehow misunderstood. Yet the truth remained. Those sentences felt like a punch to the gut of 1,000 congregations. It was clear, unambiguous, the end of an era. Their spirits sank, belief structures momentarily crumbling as the horrible truth set in. Shock spread like a dark wildfire. The gospel community, long anchored by Bill Gaither's presence, was suspended in disbelief, utterly unable to process such a sudden and life-altering shift. The legend was gone,